Welcome everybody. This is another episode of Sanguinucci TV, and we actually wanted to kind of introduce one of the guys that we've known on the street for a long time, that's been around for a really long time. Fantastic trader, Dan Shapiro. Welcome, Dan, to the show. Thanks for coming on. How are you?
Thank you very much, guys. A pleasure to be here.
Dan, so we know that some of our subscribers and some of our viewers know Access Trader, but let's start off with just give us a little bit of your background. Where are you from?
Cool, man.
When did you get started? How long has it been?
All right, so for those, first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me. We obviously met several times on different occasions. For different things, and it was always very, very important to me to kind of, if you guys ever see me on social media, I am kind of the antichrist of the whole social media marketing for all these subscribers and all this stuff. Anyway, well, that we'll get into a kind of a later topic. That's a whole different can of worms to get into. So yeah, my name is Dan Shapiro. For all you guys who follow me on social media, cool. How you doing? For those who don't, I started trading in 1998, end of 98, 99. Me and my dad, okay, we had a brilliant idea, okay. We were going to we were going to buy into an Italian restaurant. So we had two Russian Jews with a Mexican chef running an Italian restaurant on 31st and Lexington.
Nice.
Right?
Right.
It's like taking a circle and trying to squeeze it into a square. All right. So as you can imagine, that didn't work out pretty well. So I didn't have a lot of choices back then. I really didn't. I mean, there was nothing really, there was such an easy fit for me. Before I had a restaurant, I was a stockbroker for a little bit. Didn't work out. I grew up in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn. Very, very poor area in the 80s. For those who don't know what Brighton Beach, Brooklyn is, it's right next to Coney Island. For those who do know what Brighton Beach, Brooklyn is, you have an idea of how I grew up. I grew up very, very, very poor in a 700 square foot apartment in Brighton Beach. My mother was a manicurist. My father was a waiter. Okay, so there wasn't a lot of choices. Education wasn't a huge emphasis in the Russian community at that time. It was just
a rough neighborhood. Brighton Beach was kind of a rough neighborhood, wasn't it?
Brighton Beach, put it this way, there's a lot of stereotypes of Brighton Beach. Brighton Beach, the Russian mafia, allegedly, right? Because no such thing as the mafia.
Yeah.
So you have the Russian mafia, right? Allegedly. Then you have Coney Island with some of the most toughest housing projects anywhere.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of things. It's not like you're growing up in Beverly Hills 90210 and it's understood that one day you're gonna go to Harvard and then you're gonna go to Wharton Business, and then after that you're either going to get on board in your family business, or you're gonna go through your parents' contacts and you're gonna be something phenomenal. So it's like understood you're going from college to business school to billions of dollars. In Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, the way you're growing up is you're growing up broke, so you're either going to be a criminal, whether it's a blue-collar criminal, a white-collar criminal, or it's a slight chance you might go to like Kingsborough Community College, okay, and then maybe one day get a real job. So it's very, very limited, very limited opportunities. And it's just keeping it honest. There's certain areas of the world that have this great stereotype, and Brighton Beach, Brooklyn is notorious for it. So I grew up there in the 80s, and it is what it is. It is what it is. I met a lot of my good friends. Well, you can picture where they are. But to get to the aspect of trading side, so after I was a stockbroker, so I went to this restaurant. It failed. One of my friends started trading. And we didn't know, I didn't know what the hell trading was. So he started trading in this company called Generic Trading. For all you guys at home, you can Google Generic Trading, Carlin Financial. Matter of fact, the book Flash Boys, we were in, Carlin Financial, Generic Trading, we were in Flash Boys for about 20 pages, okay? So I started, he started trading in Generic Trading, and he told me about it, and then 2 weeks later I goes, how's this trading thing going? He goes, well, I lost all my money. For some reason, this piqued my interest. Okay.
Huh, okay.
I don't know why losing money in 2 weeks piqued my interest, but it piqued my interest. So, I had my Series 7 license, all that crap from the stockbroking days. But the problem was I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money. So, unlike a lot of people to get their money, I didn't get my money from my mom, who's a manicurist, my dad, who was a waiter. I got my money from a neighborhood loan shark. Yes, smart.
Neighborhood loan shark. Wow.
Smart.
Okay, that's a pretty tough move. Very risky move.
Hey, man, listen, you got to get your money.
You had to get out. You had to get out, right?
I figured,
yeah,
I'm going to take a shot. So I borrowed 25 grand from this neighborhood loan shark, and I go into the offices of Generic Trading. And in Generic Trading, you guys can, Google these guys. The partners are sitting there. Ron Shear, okay, Mayer Offman, which both of them became my godsends later on in life, my proteges, everything. The reason why I'm live and kicking, pretty much sitting here. So there was about 5, 6 of us at the time, maybe 10. Okay, there was about 10 people in Generic Trading, and I went to the interview there. And Ron, for anybody who knows Ron Shear out there, which is an imposing figure, very, very aggressive guy, very imposing in stature. He's well known in the street. He looks at me in this really heavy cigarette voice, and he goes, "So why do you want to trade?" I go, "I don't know." I go, "Honestly, I don't know. I think I can make some money." He goes, "Why? Why do you think you can make some money?" I go, "I have no idea." He goes, "All right, you're hired." All right, awesome. Ron, can you give me any advice? He goes, "Dan, trading is like shooting free throws. The more you shoot, the better you'll be." Hell, made sense to me, right? Totally made sense to me. The one thing he didn't tell me was, right, my deal was structured. I was getting an 80-20 split, okay, and I was paying 3 cents a share.
Okay.
Okay, 3 cents a share, no big deal, right? I figured, okay, 1,000 shares, $30, not a big deal. The only problem is 2,000 becomes $60, 3,000 becomes $90, in and out, in and out, in and out. Yep. Yada, yada, yada. We get down, we're trading, I'm trading several months, my account goes down to like $2,500, okay, $2,500. The woman that I'm sitting next to is this woman, her name was Leslie. She was a driller trader. All she did was trade drillers, Halliburton's, Schlumberger, all that stuff. So I asked her, I go, why is this so hard? Like, I don't understand this. I saw the movie Wall Street. I see all these other stockbrokers. I see all this. She goes, "Don't worry about it. It's great." I go, "All right, great. How are you doing?" She goes, "I'm still trying to get even." All right, cool. So we're sitting there for like a week and a half. I'm scared to death. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. My account is like basically at 0. And she finally gets green, like literally gets green. Nice. And she goes home overnight like $2 million worth of equity in drillers. And the number came out. It was like for those who don't know out in the street, every Wednesday and Thursday at 10 o'clock it comes an oil number. And she was betting one way or another, I forgot what direction it was, that I'm pretty sure it was on the long side, that inventories are going to be low or whatever the hell it is on the oil number. So she's up like $15,000, $16,000, and then next thing you know, the oil number comes. She has she goes down like 70, 80 grand in minutes. She has a nervous breakdown. Literally, she's done. She's done. She's out. This is my mentor. This is the person who's going to show me the ropes. So at this point, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, this is it's my life is all over, man. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm borrowing. I borrowed money from the loan shark. All I'm doing is basically borrowing money now from like my mother for like $80, $60. Like she doesn't have any money either. And I'm like, wow, this is really, really bad. So I went like another month kind of holding out that level. So my account's down to like $2,500. And Generic starts building pretty fast. So I have Mayer Offman on one side of me, my good friend Mike Button, who was just a beast of a trader, sitting next to me, and my other buddy Victor Baker that I started doing like construction with years later. I did a project with him. And we have all these really good traders. Some of these guys, then when you come in, you start getting all these really, really big hedge fund guys. Years later, they're all branched out.
Yep.
And one day, I just had a nervous breakdown. So I'm sitting there all depressed, like literally, like sitting there like this. And by the way, guys, you walk into every trading floor. This is the reality of trading. Everybody sits like this. So I'm all depressed. So I walk into Ron Shear's office, and I'm like, Ron, I'm down to like $2,000. I have no money. I'm dead. Can you give me a job? Can you do anything for me? And he turns to me and goes, what are you talking about? This is a trading business. What do you want to do? Sweep my floors? I go, Ron, not only am I sweeping the floors, I'll clean the toilet with my tongue. It doesn't make whatever you want, I'll do. And he goes, I can't do anything for you. Oh, Jesus Christ. So I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm going home. So I get home. I get on the train. I get home, and I get a phone call like 2 hours later from my buddy Mike, and he's like, Ron wants to speak to you. I go, oh my God, I must have left the position. I'm in the firm's money. Oh my God, what the hell's going on? So I call up Ron. I go, yeah, Ron, Mike said you're looking for me. He goes, you want a job? I go, yeah. And he hangs up the phone on me. So he doesn't even tell me what the hell the job is, what does it pay. He just hangs up the phone on me. So, yeah. So I come in the next day, and he puts me literally on the Carlin order desk. He puts me on the Carlin order desk. And the job turned out to be like $32,000 a year. But the good part, but that was like, you might as well told me at $5 million. What's the difference?
Yeah, that's great at that time.
What's the difference? It was like $1,600. Dude, it was like $1,600 a month. Are you kidding me? It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. So I'm sitting there, and the greatest part about it was that Ron let me keep my account open. Now, for all you guys out there, okay, and this is a word I literally learned two years ago, that have the pattern day trading rule. I have no idea what this pattern day trading rule is, but I learned about it only 2 years ago. When you're trading prop, okay, leverage is the easiest part of the business. Okay, yeah. The absolute easiest part of the business. When years ago, when you were on the Philex, the SIBO, anything, they could have leveraged your account 1,000 to 1 intraday. It doesn't make a difference. As long as you don't get into their equity, you're golden, right? Yep. It's your money on the line, not theirs. So when I was down to this like last $2,000, Ron let me keep the account open, and something happened. Okay, roughly, forgot what month it was, but 1999 rolled around. Okay. And this little thing called the internet craze started.
Yes.
And they let me keep my account open. Okay. Now, why was the order room so important back then? Remember, guys, back then there was no such thing as point and click. There's no such thing as the mouse. Everything back then, you had to put in orders on the keyboard. We used something called Ready Classic. We cleared through Spear, Leeds, and Kellogg. They got bought out by Goldman Sachs. So it was called Ready Classic, and years later it became Ready Plus, which Goldman uses. Goldman and everybody else who clears the Goldman Sachs clearing platform. So people needed to actually call in to put in their orders. So that's why they needed the trading desk. So the internet craze kicked off, and I was scared, just crazy scared. I mean, we started seeing these moves go like bananas. So I literally missed like the first 3-4 months. And then Mayer, where you guys, will be meeting, meeting in the near future, turns to me and he goes, "What the hell are you doing?" I go, "Mayer, what are you talking about?" He goes, why aren't you buying any of these things?" I go, "Mayer, I'm scared." He goes, "What's wrong with you? Do you see what's going on?" So he goes, all right. And you guys will meet Mayer. He goes, "All right, do what you want. So I'm scared. I'm sitting there going, so I'm letting the parade pass by, and my friend Mike, who at one point, like literally every single day was up 50, 100 grand pre-market, every single day, turns to me and he goes, "Dude, just buy anything." He goes, "I'm going home long Rambus overnight. Just buy something." So I go, "All right, how many shares should I buy?" He goes, "I don't care." He goes, "I don't do whatever you want." So I buy 50 shares of Rambus, scared out of my mind. The stock goes from like 8 to 22 pre-market, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Holy cow!" From there, I was like, "Okay, something works here." And little by little, my account started getting pretty good. And then a year and a half later, one of the guys, one of the partners now, from a very big prop firm, who was the managing director at Carlin at the time, comes up to me and goes, "Listen, you can either trade or you could be on the desk. You can't do both." And I turned to him, I was like, "Well, I'm making $1,600 salary,
Yep.
but," I'm like, "and you guys know what we're doing here, but," so I decided to quit, and for the next year and a half, it was phenomenal. It was it was a free for all. You didn't need to learn. You didn't know how to trade. Stocks are just anything with .com was going up. You had guys like Henry Blodgett, who was an internet analyst at that time from Merrill. Like Qualcomm would close at like $60 a share, and Henry Blodgett would come out at that time the next morning and go, "I'm giving Qualcomm a $600 price target." And at that time, we had Instinet. Everybody in the room, we had like about 20 guys, 20 huge traders, and everybody had the Instinet machine. And for those out there who old farts who remember what Instinet was, it was like having a Ferrari. If you had an Instinet terminal, oh, boy, you must have been somebody. So so you would just see bids going from $60. You would see bids 100 bid, 200 bid, 300 bid, 400 bid. So if you were long Qualcomm overnight, you didn't make, like right now, you see a rally and people freak out on social media. "Oh my God, G-Pro is up $2. Dude, there used to be $9 candles, $12 candles. It was insanity. It was so stupid that it didn't make sense. And the most ironic part was nobody knew how to trade. Nobody knew how to trade. There was no such thing as strategy. There was absolutely no such thing as the psychology of what's psychology of trading. It's the internet. You buy .com, okay? And at the end of the day, if you're not up X amount of dollars, and I never talk about money because it's irrelevant, because I always have a thought process. What's the difference how much I make? Use your goddamn imagination. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
What's the difference? Okay, but everybody had this whole philosophy. If you didn't make X for the month, you kind of wasted your time. And that was the reality of trading at that time. And then something hit, and this is kind of where things went really left for me very, very quickly. I got married in July of 2000, okay? I went on my honeymoon July the 23rd, July the 24th of 2000. When I went on the honeymoon, I had equity on for 3 weeks. Okay, 3 weeks I had equity on because the market was so good. When I came back, something changed Wall Street forever. Okay, and that was something called the fair or full disclosure rule. And what it basically meant was, years ago, companies could call analysts up and say, "Hey guys, I think you're a little too aggressive. Okay, I think you're a little bit too aggressive with our numbers. You know what? You might want to scale back a little bit. Okay, all right, cool. So they'll trim it, but they won't tell anything to the public. So the Securities Exchange Commission made something called the fair disclosure, the full disclosure, and it basically everybody had to get the information all at once. Okay, so we were long, a whole bunch of us were long, God knows how much money worth of semiconductors overnight, and then Intel decided to pre-announce, and it was over. It was over for me at that time. One of my many it was over stages of my career. And literally my account was down, it's ridiculous amounts. Had to be down 120, 130 in seconds. I mean, in seconds. And Ron, I remember, called me up from his office, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't know." I mean, I don't know. What do you mean, am I okay? You see my account, and the only reason you seeing my account at that time, because again, you didn't need a lot of equity in your account. So when you're down 120, 130 like that, they're gonna give you a call. And the greatest thing about the industry back then was they let you, even if you were red in your account, they let you get in. So that day, everything rallied back. It took a big hit. I was probably still down 50, 60 for the day. But that started, changing the landscape of Wall Street, started trading the landscape of equities. And that time, you really started to get the first inclination that you know what, maybe it's just not as easy as buying the .coms. Okay, maybe it's just not. And the second biggest turning point in my career was, I opened up an office of generic trading in July of 2001. Okay, Nasdaq was at 5,000. Okay, and I opened up my office in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Either July or August of 2011. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, I'm on the phone. It's September the 11th, 2001. Everybody's long in my office. Everybody's long. I'm long because if you guys remember, prior to 9/11, the market was weak for about a week or so. And back then, again, we had no strategy. Keep this in mind. We're all products of the .com era. And again, I'm not ashamed
of dips, right? Like at the whole time, you're just looking for good dips to go along.
Yeah. Everything. Market goes up all the time.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we're sitting there, and I'm on the phone with my buddy David Geller. And David Geller, he was another perfect example of how awesome the internet craze was. Guy made $12, $13 million in 16, 17 months. Me and him are on the phone, and he goes, "Are you watching CNBC?" I go, "No. Why would I be watching CNBC? I never watch CNBC." And he goes, "Dude, a plane just hit the towers." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So we turn on TV, and Mark Haynes, rest in peace, I think it was at that time, he was like, a little plane just hit hit one of the towers. So we're, at that time we're like, how could a plane hit the towers? And then next thing you know, we're still on the phone, and then you get the second plane hit, and then next thing you know, we're like, oh my God. There's a I'm getting.
I thought it was a movie the first time I saw. I was like, "What movie is everybody watching?" And then I realized it was for real.
Like right now, I'm sitting talking about it, and I have chills. And right away, we knew it was a terrorist attack. But nobody had, because we never really went through this. If you remember, years before, there was that initial World Trade bombing.
Yeah, right.
But it wasn't like a big deal. It was a big deal, but it wasn't a big deal. And nobody had the foresight, oh my God, let me short 20,000 spiders. Let me short, nobody had that foresight. Nobody. Because what was terrorism? Terrorism was something far away. You had the coal bombing and the naval ship in Africa, this, that, the other thing, all these different things. But you never saw something like that. And then next thing you know, when we realized what was going on, when they halted trading, and then we just watched the buildings collapse. Now at that time, just on a separate note, my wife worked at World Trade 1, so she was actually walking into the second building, okay, as after as the plane was literally about to hit. So she never actually made it into the building, thank God. But at that time, all telephone communications, all the satellites were down. Yep. So it's like 2-3 hours later, trading is halted. I can't reach my wife. The building's already tumbling. I'm thinking my wife is dead. My wife is dead. She would be calling. Why wouldn't she be calling me, right? Yep. My wife is dead. We're at war, right? And that's it. Life is over as we know it. Mm-hmm. So obviously, 2-3 hours later, I reached my wife. Everything was good. But this is where kind of got me where I am today. And there's a lot of things in between. But if you guys remember, trading was halted for a week. Okay. And after the stock exchange was opened up, the Dow went down 1,000 points the first day, over 1,000 points, went down 1,000 points the second day. And during that time, okay, I had a decent amount of money up with my firm because you need a bucket. So when you're in a prop shop,
right, you need to put down a deposit for your.
You got to put down a deposit in case one of your traders blow out. They go into your money. Remember. It's always your money first, and then comes the firm. So, I had a decent amount, not a large amount of traders, but there were enough. And then all of a sudden, everybody's account is done. Just think about that. You had every single person under your branch, everybody's account is negative, and they all went into my money. And remember, I have my own equity up as well. It was over. It was over. I lost that day 3/4 of my liquid net worth. It was done. I mean, basically, it was done. And, I was depressed. Everybody's depressed. It's like 2 months go down the road. nobody's really trading because people are scared. You can't go long because you're afraid of another terrorist attack. Yep. You can't go short because you're afraid any single day they're going to find Osama bin Laden and the market's going to spike up 2,000 points. So you can't trade. Okay, you can't trade. There's nothing you can do to make money. Okay, there's nothing you can do. So I called up, I called up Ron and I called up Mayer, more Ron than Mayer, and I'm like, hey Ron, man, you got to help me out. I need people, I'm in Brooklyn, man. I got 8 million people in Brooklyn. Can you send people my way? And he's like, all right, I'll have the managing director call you up. We'll go into partners with you. We'll start sending you people. And I get a phone call finally. I'm like, hey Dan, we're gonna help you out. I got a guy for you. He's a big asshole. He doesn't want to really put up money. Yeah. And I was like, seriously? I'm like, seriously, this is what you got for me?
That's all you got? Yeah.
So I was done. So my wife, the one thing as a trader, okay, the one thing as a trader you never want to hear, okay, is that conversation with your spouse, right?
Totally.
Dan, you had a good 99, you had a good 2000, majority of 2001 was okay. Now it's like 2003.
Yep.
Okay, it's like 2 years later, dude. You haven't made a penny like in 2 years.
Yeah, these are the realities of traders. This is the reality of traders here. Yeah.
What are you going to do for money? What are you going to do? I think it's time to get a job. And the last thing you want to hear this is from your wife. And God bless my wife. She stuck to me, stuck with me before I made any money, stuck with me after I lost all my money, stuck with just all the whole. And God bless her. But the relationship is starting to sour. You need money. You need to be a productive adult. You have to, you're responsible now for another human being, right? What are you going to do for the rest of your life? So I sat there, and again, guys, when I'm talking about the reality trading, and for those of you guys who have never, you see some of my posts on social media. So instead of the naked women in the yachts and this, I'm the guy who's going to come out and tell you is I loathe this market more than anything on this planet, because for 2 years it had me crying myself to sleep, thinking about suicide. Okay, the best part of my life was going to sleep at night. Okay, so the love that people think they are so infatuated about this business of trading, it left me really, really quick. And for those who are in our live daily webinar, 7-hour daily webinar every single day, I am the first person who say, I hate this business, I hate everything about this business, I hate everybody in this business. But having that hate and having that tormented period of my time made me a very, very effective trader. And that's when you talk about psychology versus technicals, that's where it is. So all my friends, like one of the things we do on our live webinar, I always like to give our folks kind of a taste of what other traders throughout Wall Street are doing. And I don't call up day traders, man. I call up guys, and if I say the names, you guys can Google who they are. I call these guys are fund managers. These guys are managing directors of the biggest buy-side houses. These guys, these are huge people, and every single person has the same thing. They have this taste of vomit through their voice. Yeah. You can just taste it. You can just see it. You can smell it. But everybody who's been trading real capital, anybody who trades real capital, real risk, especially on an overnight exposure, you will see the same disgust. And no matter, and fast forward to present day, it doesn't make a difference how much money I make. There's something that bothers the crap out of me every single day. There's days I just sit there, and I have okay days. There's days that I sit there, I go, I hate this business with everything that I have. But it's put me to such a point mentally that I block everything out. And again, you're going to have times that the emotional part of you is going to come out. Always. I've never met, you could be the biggest robot in the world, unless you're running a quant model, black box, gray box, any type of high frequency. You're going to have moments of emotional breakdown. You're going to do things emotionally that you shouldn't. And again, this whole business is not about you versus the market. It's all you versus you. There's nothing that the market can do to you that you can't do to yourself. Okay? There's nothing. There is absolutely nothing. You better forget about the whole love affair with the market. The market doesn't love you. She doesn't care about you. She's richer than
take
you.
your money.
She's richer than you. She's smarter than you. And you know what? She's going to be around longer than you ever will. Okay? And she doesn't want you. Okay? She doesn't care about you. And the only thing, the only part of the market, the absolutely only job of the market is for her to detach you from your money. That's it. So forget about this whole euphoria. Is it Monday yet? Is it Monday yet? Dude, I'm counting down the minutes that I fall asleep. I'm dreading Monday morning, not because of the fact that, oh my God, it's a job for me. It's like anything else. It's like telling a construction worker, oh my God, tomorrow we're gonna go on this new site and we're gonna hit nails and we're gonna take saws. Dude, it's a job, man.
Yep.
So anybody who's freaking out, is it Monday yet? You're either not trading any risk capital, or you haven't been through with any single person who ever takes risk does. So this whole glamour love affair. Oh my God, let's drive Ferraris. Oh, let's trade underneath a submarine. Oh, I love it. It's all euphoria. It's all euphoria. It's all nonsense. And the aspect of trading where we are right now, we're in such a different tape right now that you can't be right a little bit at a time. Okay, you can't make an evaluation of your thesis or your process be right 99% of the time, because if you slip up just a little bit, and you don't have a substantial strategy or a process, you could be sure a guy like me will take your money on the other side of the trade. And it's very, very simple. And there's days you're trading wrong. There's days, I know some days I just can't get going. And I'm the first person to go on social media and say, this is just ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. There's just something wrong here. Something is wrong. It's not playing out like it's supposed to do. And then mentally, you got to cut it off. Physically, you got to cut it off and go on to something else. But my journey where I am right now, I really, found kind of my niche. Roughly around mid 2003s, mid 2003s, 2004. And one of the companies that actually, it's so ironic, one of the companies that started to kind of bring back the internet type of trading was like Taser. You go back to like 2003, 2004, Taser was the stock, and Taser, it basically brought a life to all my friends, brought back life to me. And we rode Taser, we rode stocks like Dynamic Materials, Symbol, Boom, and then things just kind of tweaked for me. I started looking at, when you have this kind of crossroads in your career, and you've cried so much, and I'm not ashamed. I'm 40 years old, man. I got 2 kids.
Sure.
I have absolutely zero reason to even care about what anybody else thinks. When you've literally, as a grown-ass man, cried yourself to sleep because you can't function properly, okay, as a provider, then you really don't care. You stop caring. Your inhibitions everything's gone, man. You're literally like a robot. And I started literally just looking at thousands of charts. I started looking at literally what made a chart go up, what made a chart go down. Because remember, guys, for the first 5 years, what the hell is technical analysis? Something's down 3 days in a row, you buy it on the 4th, they get upgraded, it goes up 40 points. Okay? There was no such thing as technical analysis. There was no such thing as strategy. There was no such thing as process. Money management, what the hell does that mean? What the hell is money management? So all these things, we had to start doing baby steps all over again. And little by little, I started to look at 1,000 different charts. And I wanted to see what was the common denominator. Why?
This is how you brought your process together, right? After this much time, you're going through, this much pain. Right. You've seen all these market cycles, right. And at this point, you're like, all right, instead of feeling like crap every single day, maybe make the pain go away a little more, and you started learning, right? And so, after all these market conditions, you got your terrorist market conditions where everything's just flying up and down, and then you've got your really dead periods, and then you've got your heydays like back in the day, where even right now, some people consider CMG, like Chipotle, is like a heyday. It just goes freaking up, right?
Right. It's a cult following.
The cult following, right. So it's like, it's been tough, being able to adapt, and you
Right.
have made it this far. What are your thoughts on where we're at right now?
Well, I think, here's the deal, and I personally think, I think the last 5 years has been kind of a renaissance of trading.
Sure.
And as more technology comes in, because remember that, 5 years ago, you never heard of high frequency. It was out there. Everybody knows about the black boxes and the gray boxes and the, quote unquote automated trading, the dark pools, the sexy spots, the hot pockets, the blue pockets, all these different pockets.
The monster key and the
Right.
bullets, all that, yeah.
You heard about all that, right? You heard about that. A guy like me, and I say it all the time, man, I am the king of the idiots, okay? I am the self-proclaimed king of the idiots because I keep my trading so simplistic. If you would actually listen to what I say throughout the 7 hours a day, it's almost like talking to a 2-year-old. And the way I've seen trading in the last 5 years, it's gone really, really left. And what I mean by that, you started seeing how high frequency has impacted trading. And I used to be like, oh, high frequency is not going to affect me until I'm short, X amount of shares of spiders, and I see this and I see a candle go up my ass like it was a mission to Mars. And that's not mom and pop from South Dakota buying 100 shares of spies. Okay, so I get it. Okay, that's part of the game. But where I think trading has really seen a big renaissance is within social media. And it took me a while to kind of get used to it as well. And what I mean by that is social media, and you have avenues, for example, like stock twits, like Twitter, Facebook, not as much as Facebook, but most of us are on Twitter and stock twits all day, right? That's kind of our social media exposure. And you've seen over and over again how the new trader, okay, not a guy like me. A guy like me will figure out a way. A guy, like you guys, St. Lucia and all these guys, we'll figure out a way, okay? Sure. Things can go left for a little bit of time, but we'll find a way because, again, at the end of the day, our foundation doesn't change. You might have a little bit of tweaking here or there, but you'll figure it out. When you're a brand new trader right out the box, okay, you go on social media, okay? And the greatest thing about social media is everybody has a platform, right? IBM is the worst. IBM is the best, okay? So you have all this information. You have all this abundance of information. Information overload. Everybody wants to get their news, not now, but 5 minutes ago. Everyone wants to be on the hot stock. Everybody wants to be in a position to be in the right trade. It's sexy time, baby. We want the
Sure.
We want the sexy time. Can you hear me all right, Peter?
Yeah, I got you.
You heard me through all that?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought I turned off my mic by accident. So you have all this information on you, but the bottom line is most of the information it's noise. Okay,
Yep.
It's noise.
Total noise.
And total noise. And like I have a very, very weird way of trading. Like my style is bananas. I'm probably the only person in the world that could be short or long the SPYs, the IWM, and some $2 stock at the same time.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. So my style is kind of odd, okay? But I've developed it. Okay, I've developed it. It works for me, especially when there's fear. It's worked for me, especially on the ETF side. I think ETFs are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I really do. But social media has put such a strain on the new trader. Because remember, realistically, what's the new trader? Majority of the new traders, they're undercapitalized. Okay.
Yep.
Undercapitalized. Your pain threshold is zero. When you have a $5, $10, $15, $20,000 account, your pain threshold is nada, nothing. You can't be wrong. Okay, zero. You can't be wrong. You have so much information. One guy loves it, the other one hates it. CNBC loves it, CNBC hates it. Some guy on social media with 65,000 followers loves it. Another guy with 30,000 followers hates it. Where do you go? What do you do? Where do you go? Where do you get the right information? Where do you go? You go to YouTube, look at the free data content there. Yes, absolutely. You can read books. You can do that as well, right? You could join a webinar like we do. You could join you guys for options. You can do everything. You can do everything. But the most important thing what social media has become is the guy running into a theater and screaming, fire, 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 fire. And then everybody runs out at the same time, right? Everybody runs out at the same time. There might be a fire, or there might not be a fire. We don't know that, right? Think about that. We don't know that. We don't know until we actually see all the data. We don't know that until we gather up all the information. We don't know. So how can a brand new trader that has no experience, no pain tolerance, his account size is small, and he can't be wrong. And he can't be wrong.
You can't screw up. You got a small account. Your margin for error, losing $150 is the world to you.
It's absolutely. So, and everybody's looking for the hot trader on social media. The guy who has these alerts. The guys who have the hot stock. And, you know, from another time and place, some of your hot stock guys have, well, called me to back them, you know, have their emails to prove it. So if you're watching that, you do what you're doing, buddy. Anyway, that's not for a time and a place here. But you know, so you have all these guys. You really have all these guys. You have all this information. But the bottom line is, when you're a trader, you don't know what you are yet. Okay, you don't know. Think about it. It's like a 12-year-old boy going out into the world. Do I like girls? Do I like boys? What the hell? You have all these pimples on your face. You're awkward. You know,
you don't know anything at that point.
You don't know anything. You really don't know anything. You don't know what's going on. Okay. So the first thing, and I tell traders all the time, is who are you? Okay. You have to know what do you want to be? Well, I want to make money. Well, everybody wants to make money. I've never met a trader yet that says to themselves, you know what, I don't make any money. You got to figure out who the hell you are. You can't be me. I can't be you. You can't be Peter. Peter can't be Sangucci. Sangucci can't be somebody else. Somebody else can't be somebody else. We're all individual people. We all have different account sizes. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different lifestyles. We all have different account sizes and pain thresholds and everything else. So how can you possibly go out and follow another trader? Just think about that logically. But I seen the guy on Twitter. He's so good. Yes, he's so good.
Doesn't mean you'll be good.
He's so good, right? It doesn't mean your size 12 will fit into his size 9 shoes. It just doesn't make sense, okay? It just doesn't make like I used to sit next to my buddy David Geller, okay? Perfect example. It was me, David, this other guy named Jeff Rosen. Everybody's sitting next to each other, right? I'm sorry, Randy Rosen. So it's me, David Geller, and Randy Rosen. My friend Dave Geller in December of 2000 made $1.8 million. Okay, Randy Rosen next to him lost money for the month. Right?
Yeah.
So it's an issue of who are you? What are you? What do you want to accomplish? Are you a scalper? Are you a swing trader? Are you, do you trade options? Do you trade bonds? Do you trade fixed income? Do you trade futures? What are you? What's your personality? What do you want to be? You can't make money. You can't have a point of reference, a pivot point in your aha moment without understanding who you want to be. It's impossible. There's no way. And I used to sit there with my buddy Jason all the time, and Jason would run 75 positions at once. I used to have a heart attack every time I used to see a screen. 75 positions on. I mean, are you crazy? How do you trade 75 positions at once? It's impossible. So it's so important. There's just so much information out there that just doesn't make sense to the brand new trader. And in the last 5 years, social media, in my opinion, has really retarded the process, the actual learning curve of traders developing. I'm not saying they can't go into these quote-unquote hot chat rooms and follow somebody and make money. Yeah, okay. That's cool. I mean, if you want to do that, that's great. God bless, man. Listen, I wish everybody the best. I don't care. It doesn't affect my life whatsoever.
We see it all the time too. Like everybody's looking for that hot stock to short. That penny pump or whatever.
Increase your volume a little bit, buddy.
Can you hear me now? Test.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit better. Here we go. Yeah, it's a little bit better.
All right. But yeah, everybody's got these chat rooms that they're trying to push like their picks. They're trying to tell people like this is the way that you're gonna short this pump and dump on this day type of thing. And the unfortunate thing, like we've seen it too, is that the real process is not there for traders. Learning how to fish is not there. It's always about giving the guy a fish and then stuffing him with a whole bunch of rotten ones, and then he blows up his account, type of thing.
Right.
And that's a really unfortunate thing, that we've seen, and I'm sure you've seen it over time. And this is why, we're glad to have you on the show. Is that the reality of trading is very, very hard for a lot of traders to understand. It's not about the sexiness. The sexiness is kind of where you want to dream to be at, but the reality is that every day that you have a little bit of a too big of a position overnight, you're going to have some minutes shaved off of your life in the end.
Peter, it's like the scenario. One of the most loosely words in the trading vocabulary is the word breakout, right? Yeah. This one's breaking out. That one's breaking out. Oh my God, this one's breaking out. Do you see the breakout? It's like calling every woman hot. Okay. Yeah. Oh, she's so hot. She's so hot. Oh my God, she's so hot. Okay. Let's clear the air here. Okay. Gisele Bundchen is hot. Okay.
Yeah.
Ariana Celeste is hot. The pretty girl that you see at your local grocery store is pretty, and that's cool. But that's what the trading psychology is. Not everything could be grouped in. Not every stock is breaking down. Not every stock is breaking out. There's distribution, right? And somebody told me a long time ago that they come up to me and they're like, well, I like to trade breakouts. Okay, what do you do for the other 75% of your career? Well, what do you mean? Well, what did you do? Well, what would you do in 2007 when every single mortgage lender is going to zero? What are you going to do in 2000? What are you going to do in 2001 when you can't buy or sell stocks? What are you going to do during the Asian crisis in 1998 towards the 99 when things were just completely? What are you going to do? Because people don't understand. 25% of your career is a bull market. Well, unless you started 2 years ago, and then 100% of your career is a bull market. But 25% of your career is a bull market, right? I would say, another 20, 25%, maybe it's a little high, maybe 10 to 15% will be a bear market. And then it's something through one of the ugliest words in the trader's vocabulary, and it's called distribution.
Yep.
It's that dreaded distribution cycle. Like, what the hell is distribution?
Something you can't play, essentially.
What's distribution? I see you talking about distribution on social media. What the hell is distribution? And I always talk about it. And again, and this is the greatest thing. It's so funny. It's like you could put a picture of a car on social media, and you'll get 3,000 likes on Facebook. Okay, but if you talk about distribution, and you talk about, for example, that I've been teasing social media now for a couple of months about the 60-minute channel that I've been trading, which has been an absolute godsend for me. You'll get once in a while somebody turns to you and say, "Oh, well, what is this? What are you guys talking about?" Number one, distribution. Okay, it's like, think about it this way: you have the bull and the bear in a phone booth, and they got two pillows, and they're hitting each other at close range with a pillow. Nobody's doing any damage, right? The stocks are not going higher because there's no conviction, and stocks are not going lower because there's no fear, and they're sitting there. Tap, 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 and nobody's doing any damage. And the only people who are doing damage is your broker, right? Also, keep churning, baby, over and over and over again. So there's such a almost what's the word I'm looking for? There's almost like a protest of reality. Okay, everybody wants to take the account from $500 to $50,000. I don't see how you can do that. That's just I'm sure you can, and I'm sure there are people that do. I can't see it happening. Okay, there's people that they email me, Dan, what's a good amount of money that I should start trading with? I go, as much as possible. Seriously? As much as possible, and add another 2 times the amount of that. Because again, you have to give yourself the opportunity. And again, during the internet craze, the one thing people just completely forget. I would say at that time, 80% of the people were not making any money, because 80% of the people were like me for the first 3-4 months of the internet. They were afraid because of the volatility of the upside, and when things actually went down, they actually went down pretty aggressively. So 80% of the people weren't making any money, okay, because they just didn't understand, and there was a little bit of fear factor behind it. And this is during the golden rush. This is where people's financials financials tax brackets have changed. I mean, they really changed. And I'm not talking about just traders. I'm talking about just investors, people who bought
anything,
corny at $12 and went to $300. okay, and within the year, by the way. So there was a whole demographic of traders who didn't make any money. And fast forward to now, so now you have your social media, fire. You have all these different quant types that will take your money, because everybody knows where the stops are. You know the story more than anybody.
Sure.
Everybody knows where all the dead bodies are laid out. Everybody knows your max pain. Everybody knows. Okay.
Everybody knows.
People are so unsophisticated right now. Okay. So unsophisticated right now with all this technology that it exposes them to all these missiles that are literally just pointed right at you. Okay.
Yep.
So
waiting for those orders to come in. That's exactly how it is. So we're in a complex market right now, and tell us about what you're doing right now. Like what's been working? Can you give a little tease? What do you?
Absolutely. So let me just give you guys kind of an idea of what's what. Let me see the screen share. All right.
Guys, this is a big deal. Dan's about to go into what's kept him alive here. All right. This is.
All right. Full screen. All right. Start screen shave.
I got you. I see it.
All right. So what you guys are looking at right here is I use eSignal. Everybody asks me all the time, what do you use? I use eSignal. I've been using eSignal for over a decade. I like it. If you guys notice, for those who do use eSignal, this is like the oldest version of eSignal.
Nice.
I haven't upgraded in 10 years. Okay, and for all you guys who use Trade Ideas, for example, and Dan Merkin, if you guys who follow Dan Merkin on Twitter, I haven't upgraded Trade Ideas in 10 years either. So it's like what you guys do to Trade Ideas and what I use to Trade Ideas, like two different products, which is insane. So technology Jones, I'm not. But this is my layout. This is my layout of eSignal, and in the last 10 out of the 15 years, forget about the first 5 years. 5 years completely is irrelevant because I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Not that I know what I'm doing now, but I get by. But in the last 10 years, out of the decade and a half I've been trading, I stumbled onto something in the last 8 months that has been, I would say, truly the biggest game changer I've come across in the last 10, 15 years. And here's kind of an example. So majority of traders out there, when you're trading the intraday cycles, right? Intraday ranges, whatever the hell you're using. Everybody is basically, trading the 1 minute charts or the 5 minute charts, right? That's what everybody uses. 1 minute, 5 minute. Once in a while, you'll see somebody and they'll trade the 15 minute view, and that's cool as well. Okay. I used the 60-minute channel. Okay. So what's the 60-minute channel? Well, instead of having a 1 minute bar, you have a 60-minute bar. Now, why is that good? Why is that bad? Why is that indifferent? Well, here's kind of the deal. Okay. Think about what I said realistically about 15 minutes ago. Majority of day traders are very, very small, undercapitalized, unsophisticated traders. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way because I was that guy. Okay. Remember, nobody that comes from a roach-filled 700 square foot apartment in Brighton Beach will ever talk down to anybody. So let's keep that 100 right now. Okay. So I'm not saying that because I was there with you. Okay. So when you're a small trader, okay, what is your worst case scenario? Oh my God, I'm going to lose money. So the first thing somebody puts on a trade when you're a new trader right out of the box, what's the first question you ask your alert guy, right? Where is my stop?
Where's my stop? Yep.
Well, let's look at the 1 minute view, shall we? And you start looking at the 1 minute view. So let's look at the 1 minute view on the SPYs, right? So here's a chart on the SPYs. All right. So here's this chart on the SPYs. And granted, it's also moving in. This is all obviously with the after hours, all that stuff. But let's look at the 1 minute view. So all of this is 1 minute, right? 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. This is throughout the day. And yes, the market was going lower, blah blah blah. But this is all 1 minute, right? This is all 1 minute of the day, right? A lot of information. Now here's where things get tricky. Here's when things get tricky. Now keep this in mind. Again, small traders, undercapitalized, not a lot of sophistication. So everybody has a very, very small window of pain. So if you're short, when the top runs to the top, you're going to get stopped out. When you're long, when it comes down, you will get stopped out. So within this 1 minute cycle, you will get stopped out on both sides of the trade more times than not, right?
Yep.
Because 1 minute, remember, you have to be right within that 1 minute. Think about that. You have to be right within that 1 minute. So you're not giving yourself a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 4 hours. You're giving yourself the 1 minute interval. And within that 1 minute interval, you're fighting day traders, you're fighting hedge funds that are positioning themselves, you're fighting pension funds that are positioning themselves, and you're fighting high frequency. So it's you with your $5,000, $10,000 account, $20,000 account, $30,000, $50,000 account against all these elements. And every single minute when there's a new bar, here comes a new stop, here comes a new player in the trade. So you're going up and down, up and down, up and down. You're probably not getting anywhere, okay? Now let's look at the same thing. Let's look at the same thing, right? So here's a 60-minute view, okay? Here's the 60-minute view, guys. Everything that you just saw, now you're looking at a 60-minute view of everything you just saw. Every single chart, every single bar represents 60 minutes of your life, okay? So for example, the top of this view right here, let's just see what the hell this is. The top of this view right here is 206.05. The bottom of view right here is 205.31. So the top of the range is 206. The bottom of the chart is 205.31. And everything in between, okay, are day traders constantly stopping themselves out over and over and over again. It's like the hamster going on the wheel over and over and over again. Now, if you look at the premise of this, is once the buyers clean out the sellers, okay, the stock goes higher. Once the sellers clear out the buyers, the stock goes lower. So when you see this one big bar, the next bar, again, which is in our view, once it takes out the previous bar, okay, once it takes out the previous bar, it goes lower, okay, and again, establishes a new range. You have the top of your range now, 205.45. You have the bottom of this range now, 205.14, 204.14, and now you're going again. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Again, takes out the next range, right? 204.13. It's all these pivots you constantly hear me talk about on social media. Here's a pivot, right? So again, takes out the 204 pivot, puts in a new low, okay? 203.71. Again, next candle, up, down, up, down. Again, takes out the 203.71, on and on and on and on. So this is the cleanest way, the absolutely cleanest way that I have looked at the market in the last 10, 15 years.
And guys, this is prime time strategy talk. And Dan, I don't want you to have to give up too much here, but just to kind of reinforce what we're looking at here, guys, I can tell you that from where we stand with understanding participants in the market as tape readers, as also people who like to look into high frequency traders and understand the participants, Dan is absolutely right. Depending on your time frame, you are going to be competing with the participants of those time frames. And if you don't have the account type, or if you have not had enough screen time, it is very, very difficult to be competing in those areas, especially when spread matters, especially how you execute matters. It's really, really tough. And Dan here is just kind of giving you a glimpse of how you can actually manage your life maybe a little bit better during the day as you're trading. But Dan, we're actually up pretty much up on time here.
Cool, man.
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. You mentioned some guys you worked with before, and we had a little bit of talk about it. But who could be our next potential surprise guest here? You got
so here's the deal, guys. There's something that like I met with Peter and Charlie a couple of weeks ago. Had an awesome burger, by the way. Awesome burger. What was that place called again?
I don't know. I just remember we were starving.
Damn. Anyway, the one thing, there's something that I use is called reality trading. Not the fantasy world, but reality trading. And I said to myself, you know what? I would really love to introduce some of the guys that I've really had great relationships. I'm talking about guys that you can Google.
Yep.
They're not Twitter celebrities. They probably don't even know how to even set up a Twitter account. But these guys have made some tremendous strides in the Wall Street arena and have, really set a precedence of what's going on in the real world, not the Twitter world, but the real world. Don't hold that against them. And
sure.
I said one of the guys that I really wanted to introduce to everybody was my mentor. Okay, it was my mentor, and a guy that I am close with, that a guy that I speak to all the time, and his name is Mayer Offman. Okay, and for all you guys who want to Google his name, it's Meyer Offman. And
Don't tell them anymore, because if you go on Google, guys, just look up this dude, you will understand why it's a big deal he's coming on. And Dan, you want to just rattle off kind of like where this guy's been, kind of like the
guys, just to give you an idea, we were in a room. There was about at one point about 20 of us in this room, and obviously turned into generic. When you Google generic trading, Carlin Financial, it was sold years ago to, I think, RBS for some god amount of money. Mayer Offman was, I sat next to him for years. Just a great dude, but more important, this dude's made hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean,
yeah, totally.
This dude is just insane. I mean, insane. It's the most insane, insane just thing I've ever seen in my life. And again, when you come from Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, and you see millions of dollars being put on a screen in front of you, that's not, people always talk about, just to wrap it up, Pete, people always talk about, have them, be motivated. That didn't motivate me. You know what motivated me? I don't want to go back to that roach-filled apartment in Brighton Beach. Yep. That's my motivation, man.
Yep.
Shit, that's what, excuse my French, I don't want to curse, but that's my motivation. And, I learned a lot. I mean, if it wasn't for this guy, I don't know where the hell I'd be. I learned from Mayer. We spoke, and we spoke already. He's definitely. We're gonna bring him on. We're gonna bring him on. He's gonna tell you guys. He's gonna tell you guys reality. He's gonna literally put an exclamation point of what we started to talk about here. Now, obviously, I can ramble on. I speak 7 hours a day, 5 days a week in our live webinar daily. So for me to do something for an hour and a half is nothing. He's literally going to show you guys and tell you guys the realities of trading. And this guy's made hundreds. And you can Google him. Google him. He's the rabbi of Wall Street, and 20 pages of Carlin Financial. We all were highlighted. I think we were called goons. I think the guy called us goons.
Oh my God.
He called us goons, I think, like thugs or something, right? He called us thugs or goons.
I think he called you guys goons. Yeah,
goons. He called
ridiculous.
Goon? Why are we goons? Whatever. Listen. As I say all the time, listen. I might be an idiot, but I'm not stupid.
Yep. No, I hear you.
We are very, very anxious to get him on. We'll try to get him on next week, if possibly, maybe the week after.
Sure.
But yeah, you guys are gonna really dig what he has to say, and the reality of trading, it's reality, man. That's what it is, and
and that's why we appreciate you coming on here and telling us more about the reality of trading. Because again, it's frightening to see how much potential there is out there that gets washed up into the glitz and glam of trading, and they don't actually get to focus on the process and focus on the learning curve.
So, guys, the one thing I will say, I've met a lot of people on social media. I've met Peter, I've met Kunal, Mary Beth. I've never met St. Lucia yet, but I know these are all real good people. Let me tell you why. Because you have nasty disgust in your voice. And I know any trader I speak to that has disgust and the world's going to end attitude, I know they're trading risk capital. Okay? I've never met in my life a happy trader in my life who's trading real, unless they're doing some other things, whatever. Yeah, who might have judged? Listen, I appreciate coming on. We definitely have a lot more things, to talk about. We haven't even,
we haven't even scratched the surface, guys. This is just the start of getting Dan on with talking with Mayer. We will want to someday talk about the 60-minute thing that you mentioned, though, but we'll leave that for another time.
Yeah, guys.
Dan, thank you again, guys. Dan, it's a pleasure.
I really appreciate it, guys. Take care. Guys, I wish everybody the best, and I'll see you guys all in the field tomorrow.
All right. Have a good one.
Take care, guys. Thank you.